All right, so what we're going to do in this particular video, and we're going to break down the actual hearing, and we're going to talk about basically what led to Susan Smith get her parole denied. Uh, it was pretty obvious, as I stated in the video I did earlier today. 4 hour stream. It was pretty much a marathon. That in South Carolina, they only grant parole 8% of the time. And in that, what's up, Black Rage 843? Salute to you. The number is even less for first time applicants, right? So Black Rage know what I'm talking about. He grew up in South Carolina. He know what time it is when it comes to this woman. All right, so we're gonna get right to it, right? We're not gonna what's up, Tim Killisippi? We're not even gonna waste any time. We're just gonna get right to it, right? Let's get to it. DJ, spin that shit.
Yes, ma'am. We are ready. Thank you.
We want Susan.
Thank you so much. Ms. Hunter, if you can advise when the recording has begun.
The recorder has begun.
Thank you. The time now is 11:41 a.m. We're resuming our hearings. Our next case will be case number 34. Case number 34, Susan Smith.
Here we go.
One moment as Leith connects, and she does have supporters, and will be represented by attorney Tommy Thomas.
Thank you.
One moment as all parties connect.
Ms. Brown-Hennerhan, I do have a statement that I need to read into the record, please.
Susan, and I want to make sure that
Now I want you to listen to all this babble, right? What's up, Nathan Daniel? I want you to listen to this verbal diarrhea of the mouth. This guy was out here fumigating. If you think he was bad, the next person is even worse. But let's get right to it.
the things that are important not only to her but to this hearing, this board are presented. And I want to thank you in advance for your time to listen to everything. This story is really a mental health story. Some of this stuff, I've known Susan for a couple of years, and we've been working on this case.
So here we go. The first thing they want to point to is mental health, right? Now, Black people don't get afforded this. But the first thing they pointed to is her mental health. So we're supposed to take into account of her mental health and well-being. All the meanwhile, 30 years ago, she killed her own children, 2 boys, drowned them in a lake in a small Mazda, right? They ain't gonna turn around and blame the Black man for it. So for a week and a half, there was this nationwide manhunt for a Black man that didn't exist, right? Then, all right, fast forward to that, he's out there fucking prison guards. She's out there having phone sex with prison guards. She's out there allegedly getting involved in illicit drugs and shit. But she's supposed to be this model citizen, right? Yeah, the fuck out of here, dude. What's up, Big Wash? Big Wash know what I'm talking about.
One of the things when I first met her was, of course, trying to kind of figure out some rhyme or reason as to, how these things have happened. And was able to find and have someone come to see her on a routine basis for counseling, and also to try to help her, through the daily things with Department of Corrections. As a result, that's kind of what I kind of came to the conclusion was it is a mental health story. It's about the dangers of untreated mental health. It is about the lack of insight, the lack of diagnosis into mental health. And it's about stigmas, old stigmas. Of course, I'm 68 years old. I remember those. Hopefully they're not as bad today. Susan was hospitalized as a young teen for a short period of time.
Man, look, what the fuck all that got to do with the fact that she murdered her own 2 children and blamed the Black man, huh?
For mental health treatment. And not to disparage anybody, but her mom was telling folks that she was in the hospital because she had a strep infection. So those were things that we didn't talk about. Those were things that were pushed under the rug, so to speak, because they were embarrassing. They showed weakness. I don't know what they showed, but they showed up and culminated in Susan as a result of a day that all of this came together and produced some horrendous results. So I think it's important to Susan, if anything comes out of this hearing, it's that people understand there's nothing to be ashamed of. There's
a lot to be ashamed of because the bitch is a cold-blooded killer. That's what we need to understand. Susan Smith is a cold-blooded killer and she's a manipulative bitch, right? Because why did she kill her 2 kids? Because she wanted to be with a dude that didn't want children. That's why she did it. So you can sit up here and talk about all her mental health and how she was in the hospital doing all this goddamn white splaining, but still don't change the fact that she's a stone cold-blooded fucking killer. Period.
Nothing and no reason not to reach out and seek treatment. And there is certainly no stigma that should be involved in trying to better yourself and help yourself for yourself and for others, members of the family and everyone. Susan, moving on, Susan is a high school graduate. She has some college with USC Union. She has attended International Christian College and she's worked on an associate's
She attended a Christian college, but obviously didn't learn any of the teachings from that.
degree. She's still actually working on that in Christian counseling. She has no prior record that I'm aware of. If paroled, she would be living with her brother, Scotty Vaughn. Scotty is here today. And
That's a lie. That's a lie. There was a recording of her having phone sex with a guy a few months ago, one of her goddamn sugar daddies, who was going to line her up with 40 grand and all that. They was going to take that fantasy phone sex they had and relive that when she was in the car in a white t-shirt and, oh, I just feel so horny. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what she was trying to do. Yeah. So all that stuff with living her brother and all that, that's bullshit. That's a front.
very briefly wanted to address the board. The job for her, she has served 30 years, so she's been in Department of Corrections for a long time, would be through vocational rehab. The PEP program is probation and parole, would know it. And we have made arrangements for aftercare with a licensed mental health professional. You have that information in the packet that's been provided to you. Some of the programs, I took the time to look at and I'm not.
I'm not going to bore you any more of that, man.
Because you have those.
We're going to fast forward to Susan Smith. We want to forward. Hey, look, I'm not going to bore you with any more of this goddamn white splaining. We're going to get right to the over-the-top theatrical performances only Susan Smith can put on. And I'm telling you, what Susan Smith put on is some goddamn Emmy nomination type daytime soap opera type shit. So I'm not going to bore you any more of this babble. We're just going to get right to Susan Smith over the top theatrics. DJ, spin that shit.
Oh, let it flow,
let it flow.
No, ma'am, I was not.
Your attorney talked about working with mental health. Is that helpful to you?
No. No.
Okay.
The bitch having a nervous breakdown. What do you mean it's helping? It's not helping her.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that something that you would be willing to continue with on the outside if you were
What
granted
you
parole?
say no, so I could get some hot dogs.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Smith, your crime took a lot of resources from the law enforcement community. What, if anything, would you say to the folks who worked so hard to find your children if you had the opportunity to speak to them today?
Her kids will probably tell her rotten hell.
That I'm sorry that I put them through that. I really, really am. And I'm especially sorry to the drivers that I had to find them. I wish I could take that back. I really do.
Hey, won't you apologize to the black man that didn't exist that you initially accused of this shit, you trifling ass bitch?
Really did. I was just scared. I didn't know how I could tell the people that loved him that they would never see him again. I didn't know how I could tell David he couldn't see his sons again. And I'm sorry. I don't know. I know that's not enough. I know it's not, but I don't know. I know that's just how like words, but they come from my heart. They really do.
One of the things that we review is your institutional record, and you've had some infractions throughout the years, some involving.
You out there fucking them security guards, huh? You was out there getting your pussy just ran through, huh? But you out here crying these crocodile tears. You get your ass out of here.
Damn, I know.
And you had a recent.
Were you crying them tears of joy when that man was when Uncle Jesse was sticking his cock inside you?
Okay. So why should this board think that if we grant you parole, that you're going to go out and follow the rules and the laws of society? If you do not follow the rules within the.
Go ahead and answer that question from crying them crocodile tears. You know you was doing, bitch.
I was trusted the wrong person. This lady contacted me and I trusted her because I thought she was going to do a documentary on mental health. And I really am not guilty of what they charged me with. And I have filed an appeal on that charge. And as far as your question, I've never been in trouble before, and the things that I have been found guilty of in here have been just stupidity. I know I made a lot of mistakes in here, and I have learned from them. And before this last infraction, it had been 10 years. Because I grew up and I knew that I needed to stop making dumb decisions. And I did. I just.
Okay, so again, you didn't answer the question. You're doing all this babble and all that. Look, the fact of the matter is you committed infraction inside the prison. So when you commit infraction inside the prison, what makes you think the parole board has any confidence that when you get out, that you're going to all of a sudden become this model upstanding citizen? Huh? And you're never going to get out. So the fact that you're talking with a producer about making a documentary is laughable. You're never getting out. You're going to die in prison. And then when they cremate your body and they put your ashes in the urn, that cremation is going to do time. Maybe at that point, you'll be a model citizen. Not before.
I knew it was time to grow up and do the right thing. I just made a lot of dumb choices and mistakes in here. So I know I've learned from those mistakes.
Hey, what that song by The Weeknd? Save those tears for another day. Now, 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 now. Save those tears for another day. Meow, 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 meow.
What do you feel is the most
And I'm not
important
gonna
thing
do
that
that.
you've learned while you've been incarcerated?
Ma'am,
What do you think is the most important thing that you have learned while you have been incarcerated?
The biggest thing I learned while I'm incarcerated is that I don't fuck and suck the security guards and don't have phone sex on a recording and on a jail phone that's being recorded.
that people are important. That
Like your two kids were? Because I'm pretty sure they were important. You didn't think that though.
forgiveness and love that family is important and decisions we make don't just affect us, they affect the people that we love. And not to take things or people for granted.
Now, listen to this, right? I don't think she not one time apologized to her children. I don't think I've heard her apologize to her children for what she did to them. I don't think I heard that. I think it's just, woe is me, and I'm doing all this planning, and I'm putting on these over-the-top performances so that way the jury can be, the parolees can be convinced that I'm a changed woman. And that if you put me back out in society, I can show you how much I can be a changed woman. Except those jailhouse records that came out about her and them sugar daddies.
All right. Is there anything else that you would like to tell us today that wasn't in your packet or that has not already been said?
I would just like to say that I am a Christian and God is a big part of my life, and I know He has forgiven me, and it is by His grace and mercy and I have a lot of faith, and I live by that every day. And I just
Is your ex-husband gonna forgive you though? That's the $1 million question, bitch. Is your ex-husband gonna forgive you? We gonna find out. Wrote a song about it, like the here you go.
I guess, yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Are there any other questions
Okay,
from
thank
the
you.
board? Folks at Watkins, I need each of you to please state your name for the record and your relationship to Ms. Smith. Ma'am, can we begin with you, please?
Ma'am, state your name and your relationship. Ma'am, state your name and your relationship.
I did not, is it I?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Ann Curry, and I'm along with her friend and,
All right, I want to get to the family. The family showed up. This is really what we won't get to. Look at that, y'all. The whole family showed up. You got David Smith, the ex-husband. That's his new wife. The girl back here is her daughter. And some other folks. But the whole hood showed up. You had people coming from Detroit. That's an attorney. I think this is the lead prosecutor, right? So they showed up. They were there to make sure that her ass wasn't getting out. Let's listen to some of the stuff they had to say.
Parole consideration case of Susan Smith, is that correct?
yes,
We are so very, very sorry for the circumstances that brought you all to be a part of this hearing today. But we cannot tell you how much we appreciate you joining us and being here with us today. Thank you so much. Before we begin, I do need each of you to please state your name for the record and your interest in this case. Sir, can we begin with you, please?
Stand up.
You don't have to stand up. You do whatever's comfortable for you.
I'm David Smith. I'm the father of Michael and Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
And Tiffany Smith.
God damn, the whole family showed up.
Rebecca Smith French. I'm the aunt of Michael and Alex.
God damn, the whole family showed up. God damn. Hey, y'all, man, y'all see this shit?
Served currently and was a prosecutor on the original case.
Laura Hudson with the current Crime Victims Council.
Mark Reynolds, I'm with the victim's family.
Bailey, personal friend.
Kathy Bailey, personal friend.
Jeff Bailey, Sheriff, Union County. Scott Cooper, Sheriff's Office, Union County.
Michael Cogdill, documentarian.
Rita Swan, aunt, Michael and Alex.
Doug Smith, Dave's uncle.
Thank you all. And again, we are so very, very sorry for the circumstances, but thank you for being here with us.
You said this dude was fidgeting, right, man? That dude couldn't wait to show up. That dude could not wait to start talking, man.
Today, we do have the facts of the offense, and we've heard from Ms. Smith. Now we want to hear from you all, whether you were for or against parole, and if anyone would like to make a statement, you are certainly welcome to do so. Mr. Smith, would you like to begin, or would you like to conclude at the end? It's completely up to you.
Conclude at the end, please.
Okay. Who would like to speak first?
I'll speak first, please, ma'am.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
So I'm Tommy Pope. I was the 16th Circuit solicitor, and this was a death penalty case. And the reason it was a death penalty case, you know, the solicitor has that discretion, but the reason it was a death penalty case, you know, the facts and circumstances. And I just felt strongly that had the black man with the toboggan committed the crime, people would expect a death penalty. If David Smith had committed the crime, people would expected the death penalty. And I thought it was very important that the betrayal that Susan Smith showed, that she be treated the same. We knew it was going to be difficult. We knew there was a likelihood of not achieving the death penalty. But I think it's important to note the jury at the time actually asked, what did life mean? And you may be aware, but in that time, life did not mean life. Life became life in 96. We tried the case in 95. So the jury was asked, and the judge was required to instruct the jury that you take life and death in its plain and usual meaning. Carrying that forward, the jury showed her mercy. The jury gave her a life sentence. But one of the jurors, or more of the jurors, after the fact and speaking to the media, said that they believed the life sentence was the greater punishment because they believed that Susan should have to reflect to Michael and Alex, that she should have her life thinking about what she'd done. The two fallacies in that logic that the jury could not have known are, number one, obviously we're here today, so life did not mean life. Number two, and you have it before you, Susan's conduct from the day she rolled the kids in the lake, the defense claimed a botched suicide, but she was able to save herself. She was able to blame a black guy. She wasn't wet. She wasn't injured when she runs to the house and concocts this story. Susan has always focused on Susan. I will believe to the end of my time that Susan made a horrible choice to choose a man over her family. I said the boys were in the car, her wedding gown was in the car, her wedding album was in the car. She thought in a nice package she could roll that away. If she could have put David in the car, he would have been there too. In a nice package, she could roll that away and start this new life with this other man. And she led everyone on, including David, for 9 horrible days. And so as you look at her conduct in prison, whether it was a relationship with guards, the social media, the attention, the conduct recently with the publisher, Susan, you know, she's got people outside. I'm sure you've heard from them that take care of her. Susan has always focused on what's best for Susan. And so the evidence that you have before you, I think, tells clearly that she has not focused on Michael and Alex. She only has and continues to focus on herself. And so on behalf of this family, on behalf of justice and the justice for this case, it's not about her behavior or what she would do when getting out, but I know criteria is the nature of the crime and whether the punishment is there. And I will submit for the crime she committed, the action she committed, she denied parole. Now, thank you for your time.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Would anyone else like to speak?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Madam Chairman, Chair Lady, and members of the board, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak here today. I was on the prosecution team that handled the prosecution along with Solicitor Pope, Speaker Pope now, who you just heard from. I wanted to bring to you a couple of vignettes from the case to help bring this alive for you. In the course of preparing for today, I've gone back over the case. I've reviewed the file. I pulled some of the evidence out, which is in a closet just off my office. Evidence like the note that was written to Susan Smith by her boyfriend, the man she was cheating on her husband with, who told her in the note that he could not be with her anymore because he didn't want children, and that they had no long-term future because he didn't want children. And then 1 week later, she's rolling her car down the ramp at John D. Long Lake with her 2 children strapped into the back. She betrayed her husband when she cheated on him, and she betrayed her children against the laws of nature when she should have been sworn to protect those children. She betrayed them when she left them in the seat and rolled that car down, and she was not trying to commit suicide. She was trying to change her life. She wanted to kill her old life and start anew. She was wearing a sweatshirt that the man who she was cheating with had given to her when she was on TV 2 hours later, after claiming that a black man in a toboggan had carjacked her and spirited her 2 children away. How many black men in red Mazdas got pulled over across the country because they were looking for those 2 kids and they were looking for this fictitious man that didn't exist, purely a figment of her imagination? I was on the banks of John D. Long Lake, standing there with about 40 or 45 people, 50 people, as the tow truck from Greer's Wrecker launched its line into the water where divers hooked it to the car and pulled it out. Total silence as that car emerged from the dark water. Everybody sitting there hoping and praying that maybe it was a different car. Maybe it was a wrong car. Maybe the kids weren't in there. Not a word was said. It was one of the most haunting memories of my life, and it will live with me forever. And that's the last point I want to make. You're going to hear from this man, and he's going to tell you what this did to him. I can't begin to describe it. I sat in court and listened to him testify, and it was heart-wrenching as he described that his hopes and dreams for the future were destroyed that night when she killed their 2 children. This didn't just traumatize him. It traumatized Union. It traumatized South Carolina. The entire country was in the grips of her lie and her treachery. The entire country. This was a global sensation. People were fixated on this. They're not the only victims. And on behalf of the community that I represent now, I don't believe she should ever be released from jail.
Hell no, never!
Until the last person alive who remembers Michael and Alex is dead. And that will not be in her lifetime. She should never be released. And she should not be released now. His hopes and dreams were dashed. I hope you dash hers today and every 2 years hereafter.
That's right. Damn right. God damn it.
Does anyone else wish to speak?
David Smith, get up there and say something, David.
Okay.
I guess we're going to save the best for last.
You're welcome to stay seated if you're more comfortable, whatever's for you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to read what I wrote. Okay, it's easy. If you don't mind. When Susan murdered Michael and Alex, she altered the course of my life and my family's life forever. Having grown up with 3 older brothers, Susan was like the sister I never had. I was a teenage mom of just 16, so I looked up to her and even admired her. I thought she was the best mother to the boys, and I strived to be just like her. I would even leave my own daughter with her while I attended night school. Susan took out of those boys and then lied about it. For days, when she did this, she destroyed a trust in me that I've never regained. And as a result, I do not develop close relationships with others easily, in particular females. Anxiety and depression have plagued my life for years. I push it away during spring and summer as best possible, but it always creeps back up around Alex's birthday when it rolls around in August, because I know Michael's won't be far behind in October, and then the anniversary of their death on the 25th. In my mind, it always refer to this period of time as the sad months. Throughout my career, the majority of any time missed at work is around Michael's birthdays and the anniversary of their death. I stay in bed and sleep to deal with the depression. It's just easier this way, or at least it seems to be. Something as simple as taking up a new hobby turned into a nightmare for me last year. My boyfriend and I decided to take scuba diving lessons. I geared up with all the equipment, face mask on, oxygen tank on my back, stepped off the side of the pool into 15 feet of water and immediately sank. to the bottom from all the weight I was carrying. Normally, you'd remember to breathe and begin to ascend as I had studied for all the weeks leading up to that point, but nothing prepared me for dropping into a body of water and the feeling of being weighted down, unable to breathe, and seeing Michael and Alex's face. I immediately panicked, ripping off my face mask, sucking in water, and not being able to come to the surface from all the weight I was carrying. I was drowning, and I knew in that moment that was the closest I'd ever come to knowing what my nephews had endured and how horrific and scared their last moments had to have been. So, something as simple as taking up a new hobby was yet one more thing Susan was taking faith. In over 25 years, I have found myself finding comfort going to the cemetery where the boys are buried beside our older brother. I go there often and I will tidy up their graves where people have left trinkets or gifts and I talk to them. I go there when I'm happy. I go there when I'm upset. Rainy days, sunny days, cold days and hot days. It doesn't matter. It brings me peace just being there. But as a result, I'm not able to bring myself to move away from Union County because now I don't want to leave them. We have missed Michael and Alex's kindergarten graduations, numerous birthdays, birthday parties, summer vacations, Easters, along with annual Easter egg hunts at Meemaw's, Thanksgivings, Christmases, football, soccer, baseball games, proms, high school graduations, possible marriages, and births of their own children.
Madam Chairman, members of the committee.
Just the ex-husband.
It's been a tough 30 years. I'm not here to speak about what she's done in prison. You all have the records, accounts of all that. Just here to advocate on Michael and Alex's behalf and as their father. You know, God gives us free choice. And she made free choice that night to end her life. This wasn't a tragic mistake. It wasn't something that she didn't mean to do. She purposely meant to end her life. I never have felt any remorse from her for it. She's never expressed any to me. I've never seen it on paper. You've heard, she changed my life for the rest of my life that night. Some for the better, some for the worse, but
now I want to focus on what he meant by that, right? She changed his life, and she changed this man's life dramatically, right? This is the ex-husband, David Smith. When he found out that his wife killed his 2 children, drowning them kids in the lake, blaming the black man. They're sitting up here holding press conferences, putting on these fake over-the-top performances, at least for Susan Smith, about how her kids need to come home to the family and all that because they love him and miss him so much. Well, at least David Smith actually did. She didn't. So what did he mean, some for the better and some for the worse? Well, I think for the better part, he divorced her because she ended up being found guilty, ended up doing life in prison and all that when she was responsible for that heinous act. He had to pick up the pieces. And then, in the midst of picking up those pieces, he met another woman, ended up marrying her, and then ended up having kids of their own. So that there, I think, that's the part where he meant some, for the better And obviously, do I need to explain what's for the worst? I think we all know what's for the worst, right? Not only he got cheated on, but his kids got killed. Mm-mm-mm. If anybody that needs sympathy, if anybody that needs help, if anybody that needs support, all kinds of support, is this man. He's the real victim here alongside those two children that ain't gonna be here no more. David Smith is the victim here because he had to deal with her bullshit, right? Let's keep this 100. If anybody, again, who's the victim in all this, if anybody needs support, if anybody needs an outpouring of love, an outpouring of care, and an outpouring of positive associations, is this man. He needs it, not Susan Smith.
But what she did, not only to Michael and Alex.
Like, how can look, I'm trying my best to try to articulate this, but there's no way possible I can even begin to understand or relate what this man is going through mentally, emotionally. I'm pretty sure it took a physical toll on him for all these years. All because this trifling bitch and Susan Smith wanted her cake and eat it too. Let's just keep this 100, man.
She came pretty close to causing me to end my life because of the grief that she brought upon me. But thankfully she didn't. I understand back in 95 that through the state's law, life in prison meant 30 years to life. And now that's different, but at that time, that's what counts. I understand that. But ultimately, to me, that's only 15 years per child. Her own children. It's just not enough. So I'm asking that you please not hurt parole today. And hopefully in the future, but specifically today. Not let her out. I miss them very much. And I love them very much. And I will be here every 2 years going forward to ensure that your death doesn't go in vain.
Amen. Amen. And you know what? I'll be there every 2 years too to make sure that that black man that didn't exist don't go in vain neither. Because going on the days where people can just sit up here and project things on us black people and that she can get away with that. Nah, absolutely the fuck not. No, bitch. Your ass gonna fucking rot. And as long as I draw a breath, I'm gonna provide coverage to this bullshit too. That's right. Susan Smith, your ass should fucking rot for the rest of your natural born ever loving life. What, bitch?
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Smith. Again, please know how very, very sorry this board is to all of you for all the pain that this caused you. But we sincerely appreciate you all being with us today. Thank you very much. And thank you for the reminder with the picture of Alex and Michael. They were beautiful children. So thank you for reminding us of that today. We wish you the very best. And if no one else has anything else that they would like to say, if you all will exit with these ladies over here, we'll have an answer for you shortly. Thank you so much for being here.
Man, look, they had the recess after this, man, but this is the result for Susan Smith, right? Now, mind you, one of the ladies had to recuse herself due to her association with the family. So she had to recuse herself, right? Because she didn't want have any kind of conflict of interest or whatever. So I think this Eldridge lady that ended up recusing herself. But look at this, y'all. No, I'm sorry, it was Miro. It was the Miro lady that recused herself. But look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4. That means she had to have at least 3 people give her the green light. And as you can see, every last one of them denied.
As a reminder, Mrs. Mira did.
And look at that. That's it right there. All of them rejected her goddamn on parole. Now, again, in South Carolina, first-time applicants who goes up for parole typically will not get parole. This is the first time up. So we're talking less than 2% of people who going up for parole actually get it on the first go around. Less than 2% in South Carolina. I can't speak for any other state, but in South Carolina, if you go up for parole, you can best believe it's in all likelihood you're going to be going back to your cell. You're not getting out. And even after that, only 8% of people who go off for parole actually get it. And then for you to even get parole, you pretty much got to have the backing of the family of the victim. Yeah, good luck with that. If you think the family of the victim is going to sit up there and grant you parole while you did something to them, cause them all kinds of physical, mental, emotional trauma, you think that family of the victim will let you out? Ha! You got a better chance of lightning hitting the goddamn top of the Empire State Building. You got a better chance of a dude being pregnant and having twins before you get out on parole. That's right. So, again, every 2 years, Susan Smith is going to step up to the plate to try to put on these over-the-top performances for why she should be let out of prison. And then the family and myself are going to be right there, and I'm going to be right here on this live stream saying the same thing I said now. No, bitch, you're going to fucking rot for the rest of your goddamn life. You can find Jesus, you can find a spoon and dig through that concrete and find some fool's gold. But what you will not find is any shred of freedom. That's what you won't find. Save your tears for another day. Meow, 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 meow. That's right. Save those tears for another day, bitch, because you ain't getting out. That's right. You thought you was going to get you some Bojangles? Huh? You thought you was getting Bojangles? No, you getting that grade D steak that you need a goddamn buzzsaw to cut through. That's right. That select steak ain't got no flavor, no marbling, no nothing. Even though pit bull have a hard time eating that shit. That's what your ass could be eating, bitch. That's right. Unless you have a release date or a date that you or your death date. That's the only 2 ways you're getting out of prison. And Susan Smith is going to be doing the rest of her natural motherfucking life. You're done, son. It's over for you. Every 2 years, we're going to be doing the same song and dance, bitch. That's right. I mean that shit. I mean that. And every 2 years, we want to see the same result, as you see right there. We want her parole rejected. She don't need to be out here in society. For what? What's she going to do? Huh? What's she going to do? How can she be a productive citizen and she become a minister, an ordained minister? Who's going to her church? Hey, everybody, we're going to go to the church of Susan Smith to do what? Learn thou shalt not kill, right? Nah, we're good on that, right? And she's going to start an OnlyFans account where she's going to take her hairy legs and put it up on the table with some high heels on and hoping some motherfuckers start jacking off to it, right? You get the free, where, she's in the full gown, and then there's the paid one where she's bucket naked with her hairy bush all over. Her hairy 54-year-old menopause having bush, right? No, we good on that too. Now, unless a lot of people start dying out and there's nobody that's going to be coming to her defense or coming to her opposition of being released, she ain't getting out. She is done. She don't need to get out. Again, what's she going to do? She could be a manager at Arby's? Huh? I wouldn't want none of my family members around that fucking murderer. Why? First time she gets pissed off with her, she could put some kid's head in the goddamn fry bin? No, thank you. No, thank you. What's she gonna do? She could become a night stalker at Target, right? She could be stalking all the M&Ms and the goddamn Snapples and shit, right? Between the hours of 11 and 6. What's she gonna do? How could Susan Smith be a productive citizen being in jail for 30 years? Now, mind you, in that 30 years, we've gone from Super Nintendo to goddamn on PlayStation 5. Right? How's she gonna be a productive citizen? She could do all these goddamn outreach programs and all that, all she want to. It's still no change the fact that she's a stone cold blooded fucking killer. It's just some stains you won't be able to wash off with Tide. Sorry. But then again, I'm not sorry. You guys let me know what y'all think about this. If you're not subscribed to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and share these videos on your social media platforms. I thank you all for tuning in. Without you, there's no me, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, man. Last but definitely not least, shouts out to the LDBC. This your man. Scream at me. Ho!